Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, my name is Joe Park. Just wanted to first off thank you, Heather, and the team for helping to make this happen. It's a great privilege for me to be here to meet other Dahlia growers and chapter members and discuss all things Dahlia and technology, which are two of my passions in life at the moment. And so I'll give a quick intro about myself as well as my wife Holly, who is with the kids right now. Uh, but we started this thing called Clade about 2 years ago, and so I'll just give a quick visual so you're aware of who we are. So you might have seen some of us, or especially Holly, on the Facebook pages. But so she's the flower farmer, always has been. In fact, she just quit her 15-year tech career to go into flower farming full time because she's just so passionate about it. And so, we have a farm out here in New England called Scout Hill Farm. You may have seen it. Um, but yeah, no, she's the farmer, I'm the tech guy. And so the reason why we started Clay 2 years ago was because I just wanted to kind of solve her problem of managing dahlias. So I think, this is her seventh year maybe growing dahlias more seriously now. And so the way she was managing things back then was just through a spreadsheet, like any kind of techie person would. So she was trying to figure out how many of each had. I'm sure this is a very familiar process to a lot of you here, whether you maybe do it on an Excel or just pen and paper. But this was the weapon of choice at the time, and I just saw a lot of bottlenecks in here, especially with um, storing pictures and keeping things up to date, looking up the height, looking up the ADS codes and the fields and the suppliers and all that stuff just got to be a little too much. And so I wanted to build out a tool that would solve that problem, and that eventually evolved into many other features that Clade now supports. So that's just at a high level how we got started. And so if it's okay, I'll kind of go into showing you guys the tool um, as well as our catalog of Dahlia databases. Any questions right off the bat? Since we have a relatively small group, I figured this could just be like almost a dialogue, so feel free to interrupt at any point. And also, if you just type your questions in the chat, I'll try to get to those. Or if people want to bring that up, that's totally fine too. And I'll make sure to save some time at the end for a Q&A as well. Um, so this is probably the thing that we're most well known in the community for, which is the Dahlia catalog. And so we wanted to build out a catalog of Dahlia information that is complete as possible. And at this point, it's probably the largest in the world at roughly 60,000 varieties. And the value add that we provide here is kind of the easy search functionalities for any kind of varieties you might be interested in, just learning more about or maybe even shopping. But we have these filters like a popular tag just based on the community and the inventory data that we have to see what are the most popular varieties, at least in the US, the ability to wish list them. But the cool part now here is you can go dial down. Let's say you're prepping for a show and you want to figure out, what are all the, formal decks within the size class and the colors. You can very easily filter them down. Or, let's say I want to look at all the new introduction or historical set of introductions from, let's say, Eugene Kenyon. We can do that. We also have probably the largest set of hybridizers within our database, so we can just come in there and see who's hybridized what, as well as figure out, hey, let's say I want to collect um, more varieties from Australia. We have a filter for that as well, and just about filters for anything you could think of, including height and bloom size, because we do keep a pretty extensive set of physical characteristics, especially for the popular varieties. So, like essentially median value of height and bloom size. Of course, height and bloom, especially the height, will differ based on where you grow and all the growing conditions. But we do have that data as well as the ADS codes and the form size colors that most chapter members care about. Um, I'll stop here. Any questions on the catalog or
I
thoughts?
question. Um, when you have the class listed and so forth, are those just the ones that have been in the ADS, or or have they been vetted? I mean, by like a senior judge, how they get into the classification book, or are they just you carry or have ones in there that aren't part of the American Dahlia Society?
Yeah, it's a mix of both. So the ADS, as you probably know, has roughly, I think last I checked, 12,000 registered varieties. And so that's all classified as such. We actually did this earlier this week. So like 28th Ave Delicata, you'll see a badge here to say this is an ADS registered variety so that you know that the code is correct as well as the size and form and color. There's other more obscure varieties, right? That will have a class number, like maybe, yeah, 15 Love's a good example where I wasn't able to find this in the ADS registration in their, online
Mm-hmm.
field guide, and but it does still have a color and form, and so it's just been auto computed to have this class of 9003.
So when I look at that 15 Love, it wouldn't have that little symbol that you showed that was
That's
ADS.
right. That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Uh, thing. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. Yeah,
Yeah,
anything
no,
else about the kennel?
good to figure out how to sort um, and see them.
So if you
Yeah, yeah, we
populated
may.
it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we may add a filter. That's a good idea. We just rolled out the ADS registration badge. So yeah, certainly an easy fix that we could put up for you to only look at, say, all the ADS registered varieties.
Mhm. And well, I know just because I know Salmon Kiss was registered when it first was introduced, um, whenever it was introduced as a miniature
Hmm.
formal deck, but it's actually a BB size now.
Hmm.
And how does that get updated in your list of blooms?
Yeah, like now we've crossed the 1,200 growers threshold pretty recently, and so we're starting to get pretty big to a point where users are pointing out, corrections, and we'll correct them.
Uh-huh.
I've been trying to meet as many growers as possible, just trying to go to the shows, national shows. Holly and I will both be at the national show this year. If there's some kind of like an automated pipeline that we could set up with the ADS Society, I mean, that would be best, probably, not only for us, but for the community. But yeah, something we would love to, partner with the ADS at the national level on.
Hmm. Yeah, I know. I mean, every year the varieties that are changed are listed in the classification book. There's like a list of maybe, I don't know, between 2, 3 to 10 or 12
Hmm.
ones that where they got reviewed and changed. But I didn't know how that would get populated into here.
Yeah, we do constantly update this, so just a combination of manual and automated,
Uh-huh.
reads of what's publicly available. So yeah, eventually those will get over. Just yeah, I mean, I guess if we had direct access to the ADS database for, when those changes occur, that would make things easier. But
Right.
um, yeah, it's more so manual at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Um,
That's work. For you guys, it's like that sounds like a lot of work.
yeah, I'll post one question. How do folks shop for Dahlias at the moment? Like, are there sites you guys go to now to try to track sales and what varieties are available at what price?
Probably.
Personally, I go to shows, and if there's something I really like, I try to get the name of the person that's showing it
Hmm.
and then find it somehow on one of those websites. I don't know how
Dahlia,
Iris does it.
Dahlia Addict. I mean, I look at Dahlia Addict if
Yeah.
there's something specific that I'm looking for, but um, yeah, a lot of it's just word of mouth
Yeah,
in our
yeah,
local societies.
I
yeah,
just look at who won in all the different shows in our region, and then I see who won with those, and then I ask them if I can get a tuber.
yeah. That's a good strategy as well.
I
So
don't go online. Yeah.
yeah. Um, For the online use case, one of the pain points that we wanted to solve was exactly that, and specifically how do you best price for a particular variety. And so let's say, I mean, Cornell Bronze, obviously everybody knows and probably has, but let's say it's a more obscure variety. You can come into our database, chances are we're going to have that, even if it's in trial and it's a new introduction. And so you can just add that variety to the wish list directly from here. And then you can go to our Dahlia pages, which come with professionally taken photos for most of the popular varieties, right? And so you have that available, the details about who hybridized it, where it's from, as well as a list of suppliers selling it, right? And so this is pretty up-to-date information, and you can just go and say, oh, I'm in California and I only want to shop from Californian suppliers. You can do that. You can sort by price and just go directly to their site. This one is under construction, but yeah, you can just go and add that to cart and shop that way. And so we wanted to build a tool that would make it easier than like a Dahlia Attic for you to be able to shop for the varieties that you want.
Hmm. It's great
Any
having the photos on there.
Yeah, it took a lot of time and money, but I think it's serving the community well.
'Cause, Daliatic doesn't have it photos with there, so
Yeah. Um, I'll move over to our suppliers unless folks have questions on the catalog. We also have probably the biggest suppliers listing, at least for American and Canadian suppliers in the world, more so than Dahlia Addicts. We try to keep things as objective as possible. Our goal is just to provide a, a comprehensive and objective database of suppliers to the Dahlia community and make that process easy and enjoyable. And so you'll see a lot of really cool filters on here to say, who's open. Obviously, the sale season's over for the most part as people are planting. But if you want to come in there and look at all the California suppliers, you'll be able to take a look at them. Nature's Tune, River Road, Santa Cruz Dahlias, and see who's open and when their sales are. And also with the ability to be able to just add that directly onto your calendar if you decide to favorite a particular supplier. You'll be able to see what they offer. So you can just come in here and say, oh, well, they're offering tubers, but no seeds and cuttings and cut flowers, when they ship, and whether they do, bulk or whether they also hybridize and whether they're state certified slash inspected. Additional filters, you can come in here to see if they do fall or spring shipping, if they do any imports. That's a big one. I've gotten feedback from a lot of people that say, hey, I don't want to shop from places that do, imports from other countries. And so that's a filter on there as well. Any questions on the suppliers tool here? Great. Hopefully that's of value to folks. And then I'll move over to our inventory. And before I kind of showcase the inventory module, which is kind of our core value add in the tool, can I ask how people currently track their inventory? Is that just like a pen and paper for most of you, or a Excel spreadsheet or Google?
I use both. I have an Excel spreadsheet and I also use numbers because I couldn't get the photograph into my Excel sheet. I didn't know how to do that. But numbers, I could put photos in there and sort. With the Excel, it wouldn't sort properly when I'm not savvy enough to do that. But
Yeah,
I got
I use a spreadsheet in Excel and but I'm also a small grower, so it's not that big.
Yeah. How many varieties do you have?
Oh, only maybe at the most 20. So yeah,
Yeah.
very small grower.
I just keep
But
a
I do
list
use a
and
spreadsheet and it works for me. But
Yeah.
it's of course a lot of work. You just click and then it's there. So I
Yeah,
have to do
Christy,
my
you were
own
saying?
research.
yeah, I just mostly keep a list in Apple Notes and then I'll sometimes put it in Excel when I'm getting ready for the show so I can get the classification numbers looked up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a similar common pain point. Of course, if there's a solution that works perfectly for you, that's great. But as even as a technical person, who is probably very, very technical compared to the average person, I sometimes find Excel and spreadsheets too complicated for certain things, but also not enough of a tool, when I'm, out there looking at varieties, looking at, trying to identify what this particular tuber is, where I planted something. And so that pain point of tracking is exactly what we built Clade. And so this is kind of a bird's eye look at what the inventory tool is supposed to do. So let's say you got Cornell bronze, right? I just got a Cornell bronze variety for the first time, and I want to enter that into my tracking. And this would be like the equivalent of you entering that onto Excel or Numbers or wherever. So the nice thing about our tool is as soon as you tell the tool that you got Cornell bronze, we auto-populate a bunch of information for you. So hybridizer, PKJ Smiths, year introduced, country of origin is the Netherlands, and height and bloom size. You no longer have to spend, 5 minutes looking up all this information about Cornell bronze. Same with the ADS color and form, as well as the 4-digit clats that just auto-computed for you as soon as you enter the variety name. It also comes with stock photos. Especially this is good for newer chapter members who, maybe aren't familiar with, like what a cafe au lait looks like, Cornell. And so this is just removing another step of them going to Google and copy pasting, stealing whatever photos from the internet, so that they can track that.
Yeah, that's a definite plus, you know. I do a lot of that, when I cross-reference, what's the number, where's the picture, need to
Yeah.
resize it.
So
Yep.
Joe, for our society has a tuber and plant sale every year,
Yep.
and one of the things we need is photos to go on our inventory. Sometimes, each plant will need a label, and the package of tubers or whatever will need a label. If we subscribe to Clade, could we use your pictures?
Yeah. I mean, we generally don't. So I would say no for the average user because the image copyright issues are very strict, and it did cost us a lot of money to take these pictures professionally through a professional photographer. But with the we're part of ADS, and we want to provide value to the ADS chapters, and so for the chapters we have been making some exceptions where appropriate to say yeah, you can just use our photos. But there's actually a tool called the Visualizer tool in here that's built for that. That'll be part of the demo. So if it's okay, I'll go into that in more detail right after this. So the cool thing about the Clade inventory is it's built for you to store pictures, right? And so you can just come in here and drag and drop any photo, um, and boom, it's just right there. It's so much better than just trying to get a picture stored within an Excel spreadsheet or Numbers. It just doesn't work well. It'll crash the app half the time. Same with Google Spreadsheets. But you can be out there in the field and say, oh, I want to take today's bloom pictures for 20th Ave Gwen. You can just come in here from the phone, click this, and then open up your camera roll, take a
Mhm.
picture, and now you don't have to go and try to find what bloom that was on what day and try to attach it to the corresponding sheet on Google. Um, we've got filters for just about everything you can think of, the color, the supplier, where you got it from, the ADS fields, and then it's very easily controllable for what columns that you care about seeing. Of course, Excel can always make things more difficult than it needs to be, and we've tried to solve that problem here.
Joe, for the it went by a little fast for me, but what in the photo section for like an individual entry,
Mhm.
um, if I wanted to add a photo of from my garden from a certain year, is there a way to put that in and label it like this was what it looked like in my garden in 25, or are we just only able to have the photo that you guys put in?
No, yeah, yeah. So that was the use case I was trying to show. So this is just my local photos, right? So imagine this is your inventory of photos, and you can just attach that right away.
And then you could label it for,
Yeah, I mean, we auto compute the date taken just because that info is built into the picture in most cases, and then you can add a caption to say, "Oh, this was after a rainy day," um, or whatever you want to put in there.
or you could say, this was in the sunny bed and that was in, take another picture of one that was in the shady bed or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a field for you to track planting locations for that variety. But yeah, I mean, you can embed that information into the caption as
I mean,
well.
say you had 10 different plants in 10 different locations and they were all the same, like Cornell
Same
bronze.
planting locate. Same. What do you mean by
You had,
that?
you had 15 different Cornell bronze plants and they were in 15 different locations. So this would cover that.
Yeah, that's what you would use the planting locations for.
So you could put more than one.
Yeah, yeah. I've got you. You can see I've got three here.
Got it. Okay.
Um, I'll quickly showcase the imports because you've mentioned you still shop from online suppliers, right? Whether that's like Swan Island or Five Fork or Triple Wren. And so one of the coolest parts about our tool is when you get, let's say, a Triple Wren email confirmation order for a big order. It could be a small order too. That tells you how many of each one you've got. You all get this in your Gmail. What you can do is you can just drag and drop that into our tool. And what would happen is our AI would parse that confirmation and see, okay, well, you shopped it from this supplier, so it knows you bought that variety from Triple Red. And then we auto compute all the ADS information for you so that you don't have to spend 20 minutes in this case looking up all this information. So that's a ton of time saved, as well as we also populate the purchase price so that you can keep track of, okay, well, I got a Calgary ant for $50, and it wasn't producing as much. So you would get a lot of insights that would be able to optimize your hobby or your farm operations that way. And then you just import the data to Clade, and then one click, everything you bought from a particular supplier is already tracked in the inventory. Any questions on the import? Um, I won't go into all the modules in detail just in the interest of time, but we've got a module that's dedicated to you tracking your dividing, specifically for, essentially how many tubers are you getting, and how many clumps, as well
Wow.
as a planting module as well. And I'll go more into that in the planner section of the demo. But then if you're a cut flower seller, we have modules for cut flower, cuttings, and then hybridizing the cool one is the cool one that we're really, really excited about. And so it's a module that's dedicated to you tracking the genealogy of a seedling so that you can track, let's say your seed and pollen parents and grandparents, what year, and then being able to track the blooms over the years, as well as different ratings like vase life and vitality and stem strength. So, any questions on the hybridizing module in
Mhm.
particular I could answer? Awesome. I'll go over to our reports real quickly. So, um, the reports is a really popular one, especially among hobbyist growers that are just kind of getting into it, but also for larger farms so that they can get kind of a distribution of their Dahlia inventory. Maybe I have, too many pinks and I got to get more whites. Not enough, let's say formal decks, and I like to, delve more into water lilies. Um, we also keep track of where you shop from, just kind of fun insights for your top suppliers that you like to shop from, as well as what you have the most of in terms of tuber count and least of. And then, since I assume most people in the chapter divide, we have dedicated metrics and reporting modules for dividing for you to kind of better understand your top performers and your bottom
Mhm.
performers. So, like Mission Abyss, um, this past season for us was a really good one, super prolific. But something like a Bloomquist Blessing and Diva, not so much. And so if you were to start tracking your inventory with Clade, specifically on the dividing module, you'll be able to get a lot of this insight just for free, as well as a progress tracker on how your dividing is going. And so we have similar modules and metrics for planting and cut flowers and hybridizing as well. Any questions I could answer about the reporting and the metrics? Okay, I'll go over to the visualizer, Chrissy, that I was mentioning earlier. So this is what a lot of chapters this year have used for their in-person tuber sales, as well as other growers who grow part-time as well as full-time that do tuber sales. We've built out the visualizer for that because you've probably seen on Facebook all these people making these cards. I know there are a few ladies on Facebook who actually will, if you pay them like $1 or $2 per card, they'll be able to print out these cards that kind of look like this. But you can do this from the comfort of your home if you're on Clade. And so because we already have your inventory and stock photos for a lot of them, we'll just generate these cards for you. And so let's say you have a tuber sale, you can go print this, and some chapters like to laminate them before they cut it. Um, or you can just print this on a thick sheet of paper, and that should work, and you can just staple it to your tuber bag. So yeah, we've gotten a lot of really, really excitement over the past months or couple months on this module.
Question, Joe. So if you had 20 20th Avenue Pink Clouds, 3 20th Avenue Traditions, 7 Alamodes, and 4 AC Devons, how would you print those? Would you have to go one by one and say, I need 25 of this and 2 of that and 7 of this and 4 of that?
Yeah, right now,
I would
you would have
want
to
one of
configure.
each. Yeah.
Yeah, right now you would have to configure it. So like if you want to print 20 of these, you can just print 20 of that variety. Um, we are thinking of a way where you can just say, well, let's just have you enter how many of each you want to print in like a single view, and then we'll just print that. But yeah, right now you can either print everything, one of each, or you just kind of go into each card and say, I want 12 of these, 15 of these, which still saves you a ton of time, but yeah, always room for us to save you even more time with a solution like that. Any other questions on the visualizer? Okay, I'll move over to our kind of our final, big feature, which is the planner. So, who's done planting? Anybody done?
Planting.
Yeah.
Where's my planting?
Well, maybe I'll ask who's still planting. So we wanted to build a planner. It's technically still in beta, but yeah, a lot of really excited users raving about it the last couple months or so. This was our attempt at making it not only efficient but fun to be able to plant dahlias, right? I mean, that's what we're in the hobby for. So the idea is that because you already have your inventory on Clade, um, we can help you save time in planting things out either by color or by form, by height, alphabetically. And so you can see, for example, if I want to plant, I'll just say AC Bryan, right? So let's say I've got 5 of these things to plant. I can just come into the planner and just almost like a video game, start to plant out that variety. And once I'm done, I can also move that around, and delete parts of that if I want to for my bed configurations, right? So this is just a test bed, but whatever your row dimensions are, as well as your spacing, you can configure that in our tool. So this would be 8 feet by 4, and I'm doing 12-inch spacing, but you can change that to 18 or 24 or whatever spacing that you want to do, and also be able to, let's say, plant by color. If I want all my lavenders in a particular bed, I can do that. If I want to plant out all my peonies, I can do that. So a lot of flexibility in you planting things the way you want your beds to be configured, as well as the ability to sort by height. This is probably the number one request in terms of how people want to plant their beds, and so we've built that in. And then the best part about the tool is when it comes time for you to go out there to plant these varieties that you planned for, there's a print functionality for you to print out exactly that view in a grid format as well as in a table format. I know it's kind of hard to see in print mode, but you'll be able to print this just on your computer paper to say, oh, on row 3, column 2, I've got rows and then a Cornell next to it. And so you'll be able to get a good map of everything that you can leverage when it comes time for you to be out in the field. Any questions on the planner I could help answer?
I have a question because I plant kind of in a zigzag going down like one row and they kind of zigzag down the row.
Mhm.
How would I mean, I guess I was thinking I could have a space, like use one of the squares and make it blank and kind of zigzag that way. Or
Yeah, some people do it. Yeah, some people kind of we'll do exactly that, and they'll
Yeah,
do
like
this.
exactly what you're
Yeah,
doing there, kind of, I guess I would do that
yeah.
kind of pattern, have the white would be the blank space. I mean, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you could, or others just kind of, they just assume that the lines are kind of staggered and just
Uh-huh,
still plant out this way, and then just when you're out there, you can still plant in a zigzag
right.
format. But I think we've gotten that request from a number of people, obviously, because that's a very common technique, right? And so we may actually build that in visually and just kind of visually
Mhm,
shift things over, and that could be like an option configuration depending on
mhm.
users' preferences.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions about the planner I could help answer?
There's so much information. That's cool, actually. It's like, wow.
No.
It's like, wow.
Just because I know that there may be very serious hobbyists or even like part-time or full-time growers. This is something that we built in uh, recently when we got to sponsor the profitable Dahlia Summit that Flying Farmhouse put together a couple months ago. So this is for kind of aspiring hobbyists and part-time and full-time growers if they want to be able to calculate the revenue for their inventory and uh, kind of profit margins. That's why we also built in the expense calculator. So it just takes in a bunch of information about your space and how densely you plant things and how prolific your clumps are to kind of give you a heads up of what this hobby might actually net you. So yeah, it could be negative, it could be positive. It was negative for us, I think, this year, but maybe it'll
Mhm.
be positive the following year. But just something fun that we wanted to build up for the community. So
Oh,
I'll stop here for just general Q&A. So yeah, please feel free to ask any questions.
I have a quick question. So if, for instance, there's no stock photo, which for me, building my inventory, I noticed there are not a lot of the photos, and I'm going to take photos and import them into my inventory. Can I share those with you? And and I'm in that share mode, I assume. And then would that become part of your library, or is that just my library? I was a little confused by that. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, so like if you were to take a picture of your bloom for 20th Ave, Gwen, you're asking if Clay now has access to those?
Yeah.
No, we don't do. I mean, what you upload on the platform, I mean, we can obviously view it in the database, but that's due to image copyright issues. That's not our picture, and so we won't. We don't have any claims to
Okay.
that other than just showing that picture for your inventory and for people that you share that with through like our share inventory tool. So yeah, no, that those are your pictures.
And then, like, okay, like I'm seeing 20th Avenue and Baker Road, there's no photo for that. But let's say I'm growing that and I'm going
Mhm.
to go ahead and take a photo of that this year and add it to that. Does that, so you're saying that that's not something that I would be sharing necessarily with Clade and the wider community? That's just for me to hold on to and keep.
Yeah, it's almost like if you were to upload a picture into your Google Photos, like does Google own that? Like, can they sell that picture or share that with people? No, I mean that's all limited to you and the people that you choose to share that with. So yeah, no, we don't have claim over those pictures, and so you
Okay.
can safely upload your pictures into the tool. So that's what a lot of even commercial growers do when they're maintaining their inventory with Clade, and then eventually publish that over to their Shopify site or Squarespace site.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's a good question because like 20th Ave Baker Road's a good example where we don't have a stock photo, but let's say you want to be able to visualize that in your inventory. There's a button here called Search on Google, and so you just go here, it just directs you to all the photos on the web, and so you can just download this or copy that, and then paste that into
Oh, because it's
inventory.
my personal, I'm not, yeah, okay. So I can get that from the web and put that into my personal inventory.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's similar to what people already do, let's say on like a
Right.
Google spreadsheet. So yeah, same
Yeah.
same concept.
Okay. Okay.
What's the cost?
Yeah, so I'll send this over probably to Heather in a separate email too, so you have that information readily available. But here's our pricing page, and so most of the stuff that I showed is actually available for free. So you just have to create an account. In the case of the catalog and the supplier, you don't even need an account. And so we've tried to provide value to the community just because we're part of the community and love it. But yeah, $5 a month for up to 100 varieties. But like I think one of the members said, they only have 20 varieties. The inventory tracking is free for up to 20 varieties. And then if you have more, so like if you got 250 varieties, it's $10 a month. And then for hybridizers, and if you have more than 250 varieties, and you also get access to cut flower and cuttings module on the 35 a month tier. We're calling that the pro tier. And then it comes with other bells and whistles for like Shopify and Squarespace integration. But that's mostly for people who are doing part-time and full-time Dahlia growing and selling. So
And then if they're members, Joe was 20%, right, with that code.
yes, yes, yeah, I will send that in like a package email too, so that it's easy and clear for members. But yes, we have a dedicated code. I can share that right after this in the chat as well, so you have that readily available. But it'd be 20% off all of our monthly and annual plans.
And
But yeah, just
so
to get
just
started, you don't even have to
yeah,
pay actually. No credit card required.
right. And so you can import whatever spreadsheet you have already in the whole database.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you mentioned you do have you do have an existing spreadsheet, right? A lot of people. So if that's the case, you can just we have a CSV import process.
Right. Yeah.
So you would
Okay.
just be able to come in here. I think I have a sample template here, and then just drag and drop,
Yeah.
import the file. It will auto map out those columns, and then you can change up the mappings as you see fit. And then the AI will read that over and get it over into the Clade inventory. So it's really like usually takes less than 3 minutes for people to get up and running if they have an existing system that they track with.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Cindy has a question in the chat. It's 20% off for whatever package that you buy. So let's say you buy the annual package, it's 20% off that first year. So it'd be 20% off the, $50 for the year. And then full price for the following. And same with the monthly. So like if you just buy 1 month for the basic, it's 20% off the first month.
So, Joe, with your AI, if I entered a thing and I didn't spell the names right, does it have a similar fuzzy filter on it?
Yeah, we actually autocorrect. So like this CSV actually had perfect spelling, but let's see if I can find let's see what's a good PDF I can use for this. I'll try this one. Yeah, but we do correct the spelling for you in most cases. Yeah, I mean that had great spelling. So, but yeah, if this had a typo, we will correct it. Great questions. Yes, Cindy has a question. Can you start with the 10-month plan? Yes. Yeah, it's like with any other software, like Apple, email or Google email, where you can always upgrade and not lose any of your data. So, that's what most people do is they start with the free plan, and then if they grow more than 20 varieties, they'll upgrade to the next one. So common use case.
So, Joe, where are you finding the biggest adoption in the market? Mostly growers, or I mean like commercial growers or hobbyists, small hobbyists?
Yeah, I mean, just because of the distribution of growers, right? Like, I think last I checked on the Facebook group, the Dahlia Growers group has like 350,000, and I would bet probably 80% of those are just hobbyists, right? That don't sell commercially, and so that's exactly what we see reflected in our database. Um, and then we also have some, big farms like commercial names that you guys would recognize that probably many people have shopped from.
Right.
But those are small just because the compared to the size of the hobbyist group, those are obviously smaller. But yeah, we've got packages, I think, for every tier of, wherever they are on their Dahlia journey.
Congratulations. This is beautiful.
It is amazing.
Yeah, thank you guys. Any other last minute
you-
questions or?
When did you start developing it?
About a year and a half ago.
Looks pretty well developed.
A lot of work went into
Professional
that.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Yeah, Cindy has a question. Yeah, is it a website or can you access it from your phone? Yeah, it's a web app. It just means it works like Google, Gmail essentially, where you can access it on the phone, access it from your computer or your iPad. Yeah, you just go to useclay.com and we've tried to make it as mobile friendly as possible. So I think something like 65% of our traffic actually comes from an iPhone. Um, Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for your
Thank
time
you.
and Heather for letting us showcase the tool. I'll go ahead and share the link to the website as well as the dedicated coupon code for the Central Coast chapter in the chat as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank
look
you so
forward to,
much.
I look
Thank you.
forward to playing with it. It seems really fun
Yeah.
and easy
Fun.
to do compared to
Thank
what
you.
I've been doing. So yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I'll also share the link for people to just book like a 20-minute or 15-minute Zoom session with either me or Holly. Like we're always happy to jump on a quick chat because the last thing we want is for users to just, bash their heads against the computer because something's not working like you expect. And so we're always here to help you onboard or resolve any problems in real time.
And there's YouTube videos too. Is that right, Joe? That you
Yes.
reference?
Yeah, yeah. I'll include that in our follow-up email as well. Yeah, I think that's a great point. That could be helpful for people to follow along.
Okay.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.